I never thought my own son would be the one to uncover the secret I had buried so deep. It started like any other evening, quiet, normal, safe. I was in the kitchen, pretending everything was fine, when I noticed the way he looked at me. It wasn't curiosity, it was something else, like he knew, like he had seen something he wasn't supposed to. And in that moment, my heart sank. For months, I had been living two lives. By day, I was the mother who packed lunches, who smiled at school events, who held it all together. But behind closed doors, I was slipping, making choices I swore I never would. It was supposed to stay hidden. It was supposed to be my secret. But nothing ever stays hidden forever, especially not in a house where silence starts to speak louder than words. When he confronted me, I didn't lie. I didn't deny it. And I didn't stop him from asking more. Maybe a part of me was tired. Maybe I was hoping someone would finally force me to face what I had done. I didn't expect his reaction, and I never imagined what he'd do next. He didn't yell, he didn't cry, he just looked at me, quiet, still, like he was trying to figure out who I really was. That hurt more than any words could have. My son, the one I raised, the one who used to run to me with scraped knees and school drawings, now stood there like a stranger. I wanted to explain, but how do you explain betrayal to someone who still believes in you? He asked me one question: how long? And I couldn't lie. I told him the truth. It had been nearly 6 months. 6 months of late-night messages, hushed phone calls, and stolen moments I never thought would catch up with me. But they did. Somehow he found out. Maybe it was my phone. Maybe he overheard something. I never asked. I was too afraid of the answer. The silence that followed was the heaviest I'd ever felt. He didn't tell his father, at least not yet, but I could see the weight he was carrying, and I knew, from that moment on, nothing in our home would feel the same again. Over the next few days, he barely spoke to me. He came home from school, went straight to his room, and avoided eye contact like I was a stranger. I tried to act normal, like things hadn't changed, but they had. Every dinner felt forced. Every silence between us was louder than words. I started noticing things: his late-night walks, how he'd stare at his phone, his short temper with his younger sister. The weight of my secret wasn't just mine anymore. I had placed it on him too. One evening, I heard him whispering on the phone. I caught only a few words. "I can't keep this forever." That's when I realized he was thinking about telling his father, and maybe he should. But I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to watch everything fall apart. What scared me more was the look in his eyes, like he didn't know if he hated me or just didn't recognize me anymore. One night, I came home late. The lights were off, but I knew he was awake. I could feel it. I walked down the hall, trying not to make a sound, but as I passed his door, I heard him say my name. Not loudly, just calm, like he'd been waiting. I froze. My heart raced. I opened the door, and there he was, sitting at his desk, his phone in his hand, tears in his eyes. He said he couldn't carry it anymore, that it was eating him up inside, that he didn't know what was worse, the betrayal itself, or the fact that he was part of the lie now. He told me he had screenshots, messages, even photos. He hadn't shown them to anyone yet, but he kept them, just in case. And then he said something that made my stomach drop. Dad deserves to know the truth, even if it breaks us. I couldn't speak. My world, already cracking, was about to shatter. Just when I thought I couldn't feel more exposed, he handed me his phone. "You're not the only one keeping secrets," he said quietly. I stared at the screen, confused, until I saw the messages, his messages, to someone he'd been talking to for months, someone much older, someone I didn't even know he had contact with. My breath caught. It wasn't just about my betrayal anymore. He was wrapped up in something too, something that could ruin him in a different way. I tried to stay calm, but my mind was spinning. All this time, while I was hiding my own affair, my son had been caught in his own secret world. Was it revenge? Was it a cry for help? He looked at me, not with anger now, but almost with relief. "We're both broken," he whispered. And just like that, the line between parent and child blurred, and the weight of our secrets became even heavier. I sat on the edge of his bed, phone in my hands, heart pounding. Everything was out now. My affair, his secret relationship, our silence. We had been living under the same roof, both hiding, both hurting. I told him the truth about everything, how it started, why it continued, and how ashamed I was. He listened, not with anger anymore, but with a sadness that cut deeper. Then, for the first time in weeks, he spoke softly. "I already told Dad." My stomach dropped. He had done it. The truth was out. But then he added, "I told him it was me who found out, not you who confessed." That changed everything. My husband hadn't confronted me yet, hadn't packed a bag or slammed a door. He was waiting, processing. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew it was coming. And just as I started to breathe, my son dropped one last truth. The woman he had been messaging, she wasn't who she said she was. She'd been blackmailing him, with my affair's leverage. That's how he found out in the first place. My secret had become a weapon in someone else's hands. And now, we weren't just trying to heal. We had to fight back. The next morning, we sat together, me, my son, and my husband. There were no raised voices, just a quiet that held every emotion we'd buried. My husband already knew everything. My son had shown him the messages, explained the blackmail, and told him about the woman pretending to be someone else. And somehow, instead of turning away, my husband stayed. Not because he forgave me right away, but because he wanted to protect our son from further damage. That became the priority. We reported the woman. The messages were traced. The account shut down. It turned out she wasn't after me, but using my secret to manipulate my son. That truth shook me even more. I had no idea my choices would open that kind of door. We started therapy as a family. Healing wasn't easy. Trust wasn't instant. But we were trying, together. My son stopped blaming himself. I stopped pretending everything was fine. And my husband, he watched, waited, and slowly began to let his guard down again. This isn't the story I ever wanted to tell. But it's real. It's messy. And it's ours. Sometimes the truth breaks everything apart. But sometimes it's the only way to put things back together.